World Children's Day, Yemeni children continue to bear the brunt of the conflict. Foreign Minister bin Mubarak says Houthis pose threat to Yemen and international community. Houthi landmines kill and maim thousands of civilians in Hodeidah. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English News with me, Shazad Delbey. New Human Rights Organization is set to launch an awareness campaign on violations against children. In addition, the organization announced that work on documenting the 6 violations against children coincides with the International Children's Day. The Human Rights Organization called on all those interested in protecting children's rights to interact and participate in the campaign. The National Committee to Investigate Allegations of Human Rights Violations organized hearings for children victims of violations in Yemen. The hearing sessions aim to identify the violations and its impact on children's rights and futures. The committee's sessions targeted children who have been subjected to injuries, starvation, and amputation. On World Children's Day, Yemeni children continue to bear the brunt of the conflict. Millions of children suffer from malnutrition and others die from preventable diseases. This report has more details.
On the sides of the roads and public streets, dozens of children wander under the scorching heat. This scene summarizes the reality of childhood in Yemen on the International Day for the Rights of the Child. Mohammed Mubarak is a child who has not turned 12 years old yet, one of the millions of Yemeni children who have been deprived by the war of their minimum basic rights to live with dignity in a safe and supportive environment. The living conditions forced Mubarak to drop out of school and go out to work. He stands in the middle of the street on daily basis, selling water, because his father is unemployed, hoping that his father would find a job so that he could then return to school.
My father is sick and suffers from psychological condition and has neither job nor salary. So I had to work to help my family. We moved from Shabwa to here, but I couldn't find a job and I started selling water on the side of the road.
Hundreds of children in Ma'rib Governorate work as street vendors. Poverty, hunger and the lack of life demands that their families are suffering from push them all into working in the streets, which are the same reasons that urged the 2 siblings, Abdul Razak and Arafat, to stand for long hours in the crowd, of course, to sell water, to be able to provide their family with the basic needs of life.
My father doesn't have a salary, so I had to work to help my family. And what pushed us to this is the Houthis' crimes. We traveled to Sada and we were followed by the Houthi cannons.
A sad view of the future of an entire nation. Generations displaced by the war of the Houthi militia robbed them of their present and future and made them fuel for its war. As the United Nations reports say that more than 2 million children are out of education classes, while more than 11 million children are in urgent need of urgent assistance. Besides, tens of thousands of children that were recruited by the Houthi militia, and they killed thousands with mines and bombing civilians.
While the world celebrates the rights of the right of the child in Yemen is still under threat. The child is the one who paid the price of war because of displacement, dropout from education, child labor, and the violations that occur to them. We hope that the child find peace, as well as return to school and have a promising future.
On this day, the world celebrates the rights of the child, while millions of Yemeni children are living through the worst humanitarian crisis in the world, and in various fields of living, housing, security and education, not to mention the various grave of non-serious violations that are countless against the children of Yemen for 8 years, and the resulting damages the psychological and physical health, and all the resulting direct impact on the normal development of children. While the United Nations and its concerned bodies did not take any measures against the perpetrators of these crimes, but rather they are often an indirect partner in these violations, according to human rights reports.
Chief of Staff Saghir bin Aziz discussed with the commander of the U.S. Naval Forces cooperation between the two countries. In the meeting, the Chief of Staff confirmed that the Houthi militia continues to endanger international maritime navigation. He pointed out that the Houthi militia terrorizes civilians' lives and prevents humanitarian aid from reaching war-affected people. The Minister of Foreign Affairs discussed with his British counterpart the repercussions of the Houthi terrorist attacks on economic facilities. The meeting focused on the Houthi attacks on oil ports by Iranian drones, which represent a threat to security and peace in the region and the international community as well. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ahmed bin Mubarak, has denounced the recent Houthi escalation. This came in the 5th session of the Regional Security Conference that is currently held in Manama. Bin Mubarak said the Houthi militia's threat can threaten the safety of the region and even the world. Bin Mubarak added that by targeting international ports and shipping lanes, the militia confirms that it is a real threat and needs to be restricted. A field military source confirmed that the air defenses of the joint forces managed to shoot down a Houthi drone in Hodeidah. This comes less than 24 hours after the Giants Brigades announced the stopping of a drone while it was flying in Hais. Houthi landmines have killed and injured thousands of civilians in Hodeidah. This comes amid silence of the international community, who seems to have done nothing in terms of pressuring the Houthis to stop planting mines. This report has more details.
Before the eyes of these simple people, the organizations supporting the Houthis are no less guilty than the Iranian-backed militia in planting mines. After the international organization honored the Houthi with tons of cars and millions of dollars and support for what they planted of mines, the victims did not find any of the support, which turned the militia ability into a war effort to kill more innocent.
Unfortunately, what the Houthi militias have done in Hodeidah Governorate is unforgivable, as it diverted the mine-clearing budget from mines to planting mines, as happened in the districts of Ibrahimiyya and Bayt al-Faqih, al-Husayniyya, Zabid and Tuhaita. This is a humanitarian crime in which human rights are violated and human massacres for those who have nothing to do with the war. The removed mines were also loaded into United Nations vehicles, and this is a crime mainly caused by the United Nations.
They say that the support for the death allows the militia to plant mines in order to continue the series of Yemeni bloodshed. And under this slogan, they organized a protest to demand the submission of those in charge of the international organizations involved and claiming to sponsor peace in Yemen, to demand an investigation of those who are involved, especially as the people of Tehama lost their own lands as a result of the unjust Stockholm Agreement, according to which the United Nations handed over the Iranian-backed militia at Tuhaita, Al-Jabaliyya, Al-Durayhima and parts of the districts of Al-Hodeidah Governorate Center as a pretext under the pretext of the peace agreement in Hodeidah.
I was hit by a mine in my own land. My leg was amputated and my hand was injured.
The sons of Tehama went out to the streets with their wounds, amputated feet and missing parts of their bodies, and their guilt in this war is unknown.
We are displaced from Al-Jabaliyya district to Al-Hayma district. One of my legs was hit by a mine and was amputated, and the other is not in a good condition. We were going to a wedding and the mine blew up the car and we were all injured.
Hodeidah is currently, according to the international reports, is the largest minefield in Yemen and the Arab region in general. Some believe that the unfortunate issue is the silence of the international community and its generous support for the perpetrators against humanity, which contradicts any local or international custom.
كانوا أولادي الأربعة بالبقالة وبعدين وهم راجعين انفجر فوقهم أبوه وأدى إلى استشهاد 3 من أخوانه، طفله و2 عيال، وهذا الرابع أصيب بالبتر وفي عملية بالخلف بالظهر حقه. في ناس كثير فقدوا أبنائهم في نتيجة زرع الألغام، في أبطال كثير فقدناهم من الجبهات في زراعة الألغام هذه، وهذه الجبان الذي قاموا بعمل هذا الشيء.
Coming next in the news. FIFA World Cup 2022 kicks off today in Doha with intensive international attendance.
ناس ندي ماء من الغل والغلط بعيد، كنا ندي بالدواب نعبي ماء ورجعنا. ننزل الساعة 5 رجعنا الساعة 9.
ما يجي لنا ظهر لأن زحمة ما حد يخلي الجهل يغرق، وإحنا تعبنا زيادة.
وكنت أحس صدري يوجعني وعز قلبك ركبي يوجعيني.
كنا ما نستخدم حتى نغسل أولادنا إلا يعني بأيام معدودة.
كنت أغيب على المدرسة لأن كنت أروح الديمة.
حتى وإن كان يجي الأمطار تروح هدر لأنه ما في معي خزانة.
الوقت نشتري ب30,000 مع هستيلك ما يغلقش معها الشهر.
بس راح تطلب الله ولا أي حاجة، عاملة كل شغلك علماء.
Welcome back. As we know, everybody is excited today because the world keeps an eye on Doha, which hosts FIFA World Cup 2022. This is the first time an Arab country organizes such an important international event. This report has more details.
The FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar is the first to be hosted in the Middle East and the most geographically compact since the inaugural edition of the tournament in 1930. The FIFA World Cup is unique in many aspects, with the type of opportunities and challenges related to sustainability being no exception. The FIFA World Cup is the biggest single sport competition in the world. After a preliminary competition, the 32 qualified men's national football teams compete to become world champions in a final competition staged during 1 month in a host country selected by FIFA. It is anticipated that over 1 million spectators will attend the tournament, and the competition will reach a global in-home television audience of over 3 billion people, with more than 1 million fans tuning in to watch the final match. In addition to the matches, there are a host of other official competition-related events, including workshops, opening and closing ceremonies, award ceremonies, cultural events, press conferences, and launch events. Hosting the FIFA World Cup often represents a historical milestone and a symbolic achievement for the host country, with major implications for local communities, infrastructure development, and service provision. It includes the employment and training of thousands of workers, the transportation of hundreds of thousands of fans, and the protection of people's health and safety throughout the tournament. The scale and complexity of the tournament can generate significant opportunities for all those involved. A key objective of the FIFA World Cup 2022 is that it serves as a catalyst for the achievement of Qatar's long-term development goals, as laid out in the Qatar National Vision 2030 and the National Development Strategy.
من حق كل طفل وطفلة الحصول على شهادة ميلاد.
Economic reports revealed that developments in the banking sector contributed to the inefficiency of the financial system. The report showed a decrease in the demand for food due to the loss of purchasing power and lack of foreign exchange. This led to the rise in prices for goods, services, and fuel, and increase in poverty and hunger for millions of Yemenis. The United Nations warned that a wave of stormy weather is expected to hit Yemen in the next period. Flooding and landslides cause damage, especially in displacement camps. This report has more details.
Many governorates across Yemen have seen the highest rainfall since July this year, with widespread destructive flash floods resulting in infrastructure, homes, food stock and livestock being washed away. Nearly 30,000 families have been affected and at least 91 people killed, a figure that is expected to rise, with many more injured or missing. The most hard-hit governorates have been Hajjah, al-Mahawit in the northwest and Ma'rib in central Yemen. However, with torrential rains forecasted to continue, casualties and destruction figures are expected to rise further throughout the country. The country has been grappling with the impact of over 7 years of conflict, resulting in one of the highest populations of internally displaced people in the world. It's therefore devastating to witness families who have been living in tents for years, struggling to access the most basic services. Even what they have been washed away and destroyed. At least 190 sites housing over 12,000 internally displaced families in Ma'rib have been damaged by flooding, alongside the communities who have been hosting them. The floods came out of nowhere. Women, elders and children wake up in their tents to water rising around them. They escape their tents, leaving everything behind. Their documents, food, clothes are washed away in a blink of an eye. 13,000 displaced families have been affected by torrential rain, floods and thunderstorms in Ma'rib Governorate. According to the IDP's management, it is expected that the number of affected families will rise in the coming days, accompanied by a weakness in the humanitarian response to relieve the affected civilians. The scale of the devastation means additional funding is urgently needed to support the affected families, who are at risk of becoming displaced once again. In flood situations, the risk of waterborne diseases such as cholera and diarrhea also increases. People who have already been struggling have seen their monthly food rations washed away. The needs are tremendous, but the coming weeks and months are critical in making sure affected families can pick themselves up and at the very least regain their lives to pre-flood days.
Here's a reminder of the main headlines. On World Children Day, Yemeni children continue to bear the brunt of the conflict. Foreign Minister bin Mubarak says Houthis pose threat to Yemen and international community. Houthi landmines kill and maim thousands of civilians in Hodeidah. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.